Good morning, good morning, good morning. And this morning, we are grateful. I am grateful for my cell phone because I've been having all sorts of challenges from my laptops. And guess what? The backup was the cell phone. So, good morning. Our apologies for not being here bang on 7, but I was having some very serious technical challenges over here. We wanted to make sure that we were still here. So, we pivoted and we are here. Ever grateful for the cell phone and being able to have a
Absolutely.
backup. I hope everyone is in a super, super terrific mood this morning. This is your co host, Karen Williams Thompson, and with me is Shirley Ann Edwards Barron. And we are your hosts for Getting It Done with Gratitude. Who would imagine? We are on to our fifth session. We got together earlier this year and we made a commitment. We wanted to do this. This is something that we've been thinking about and talking about. And we said, you know what? We're going to take the action. We are going to do it. And we made this big commitment. We're coming live every Thursday. And guess what? We said we're going to do it for a year. And you guys get to hold us accountable if you see us missing. So here we are, and our first month, and I think we really had a great time. We really
Oh,
looked
yes.
at all things health, how gratitude impacts that, what are the things that we can do. We had our guest speaker as well. And so we are really, really grateful to all of you who have shared your thoughts and your comments, who have said how it's made a difference. But I am rambling on. Let me introduce myself and let Shelley introduce herself. And then this month, we're talking about motherhood. And that's a topic that there's so many views on it. And here in the Caribbean where we live, May the 14th is celebrated as Mother's Day, as it is in other parts of the world. I believe in the UK it was celebrated already, but we celebrate it here this month. So who am I? I'm Karen Williams Thompson, a life and business strategist. I have spent decades in corporate, working with Fortune 500 brands. But now what I do is I help women get absolutely clear on what it is they really want to achieve in their life. I help them to say yes. Yes to themselves. Why? Because as women, sometimes we settle a lot. We put everything and everyone before us. And then before you know it, we're thinking, why didn't I do that? Oh, I wish I had done that. And so I really help women see that it is possible. We say yes, we get clear on what it is you really want, what's keeping you stuck, and we create a plan so that you can achieve the things that you want in life and just have that happy and fulfilled life. And of course, we're doing it with gratitude. Shelley,
Yes, and
how
that's where
are you
I
this
come in.
morning?
I am fine. I'm fine. Good morning, everyone. Yes, as Karen said, we made this commitment, and when the intro was playing, and I really love that music, by the way, and I was getting
Mhm.
into it, and I thought, you know what? We're doing it. We're getting it done. It's not perfect the way we wanted it to be, but it's happening, and we are here, and that is something to absolutely be grateful for. So, and I really do get energized about gratitude and talking about gratitude. So, hi, for those who are joining for the first time, my name is Shelly Ann Edwards Barron, and I am your gratitude guide. Now, what that means is that I guide you through understanding what gratitude really is, not just the surface thank yous, but the really deep, resilient kind of gratitude that becomes a habit that helps you go through life, accomplish your goals, and really experience that fulfilling life. Now, gratitude is not as simple as many people think. And when you
Mhm.
really activate it, it actually has to be physical, spiritual, emotional. It's a combination of things. And that is what I am here to shout to the world because of all that it has done for me. I want everybody to experience that fulfillment that I have had and continue to have using gratitude. So I am, a beacon of light in the world, shining gratitude for everyone. That's the short version, right? Because I could talk about this forever. Oh, but as you
And
said,
she's
Karen, we're
so
talking about motherhood
motherhood.
this. Yeah, yeah. You were saying.
And Shelley is so right. This really is a passion with Shelley, and it's one of the things that really drew us together. But this morning, as we said, we're really talking about motherhood and how gratitude can impact that. And when I think of motherhood, I think of busy. I think of persons who have that role, whether they are mothers that have actually given birth, whether they're women in that role as a mother, whether they are grandparents, great grandparents. Motherhood is a vast role. And it's one that no matter who you talk to, it's a busy one. There are all of these demands that are placed on motherhood and persons in that role, and they have the obligations. You still have your obligations to whether you're working for yourself in your business, you may have a career, you have the obligation to the family, you have the obligation to the children. And a lot of times you're really very, very busy. And it's easy to get consumed in the busy. It's easy to get caught up in
Mhm.
all of the things and then not really think about how is gratitude really playing a part in this? But gratitude helps us to focus on the good things that we have. Gratitude helps us to focus on what is really important, like things may not always go as you want them to go. Things may not always work out or go in that flow. You get up, you tell everybody, be ready, we're leaving home by X. Somebody couldn't get up, somebody can't find a bag, somebody can't find the keys. Listen, and all you're thinking is, I just
Oh,
want to get through the door. So there are all of these things that come up, but we have to find the gratitude in it and focus on that,
yeah.
because that really allows us to appreciate the simple things, the profound
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
even the not so profound things. I'm a mother of one. Shelley has two girls, and
Mhm.
we know firsthand how it could be. And a lot of times
Yeah.
we're tempted to put ourselves on the back burner. But what we've both learned is
Beyond
that it's
temptation, yes?
important for us to not let that become a norm. What are your thoughts, Shelley?
Yeah. I think it's beyond temptation. I don't even know if it's just a temptation to put ourselves on the back burner. I think it happens and then we recognize how we're doing it, and we have to adjust. When I think of motherhood, I think of my own experience first and foremost, and I think of expectations, my own and other people's expectations of what a mother is, what a mother is supposed to do. And I also think of the uncertainty and the fear. So for me, beyond just the obligations, but the fear of, am I a good mother? Am I doing this right? How will my children turn out if I do this or not? And every little step being scrutinized, and it's like, I'll give you an example of what I mean about this fear and expectation. When I had my first daughter, she had jaundice, and it was to the extent where she had to go under the UV lights for about a week. And so she remained at the hospital. And I was discharged after, I think, 3 days. So, we were back and forth. And one day we were walking in, and, there are a couple of babies crying and so on. And somebody looked at me and said, "Is that your baby crying?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm hearing babies crying." And they were like, "But you're the mother. You're supposed to know the cry of your baby." And I'm like, "Huh? What?" So there are these, kinds of expectations that as soon as you become a mother, all of a sudden there's supposed to be some switch and some snap that,
Mm-hmm.
you're ultimately, have this innate sense and all these things. And I mean, I remember that experience, and now with my girls, I have two now, and they're older. One is going to be 20 this year, and so we I have this discussion with them, when they say things, I always tell them, I'm a mother, I know these things. So, in as much as I'm aware of these, unnatural, I would say, or, unrealistic expectations, I do play into it sometimes. And I wonder about this whole idea of motherhood and, how we're talking about how gratitude comes into it and, paying attention to the little things. It is so clouded in many other things, the obligations, the expectations of ourselves, of others, of the kids, everything. And we get caught up, as you were saying, we get caught up in all of that and miss, to me, the number one thing about motherhood is that miracle of birth and the process of bringing another life into this world. That in and of itself is a gift. And when we get caught up in all the anxiety and the expectations and the obligations, we sometimes forget to be grateful just for that action and gift of being a mother, because I know several people who would love to be mothers but they're not, and this is what's happening with their journey. Everybody is on their own journey, and I remind myself and I pause. I am grateful for the opportunity that I have, and I really, really lean into that
Hmm.
on the
Yeah.
days when I'm getting the talk back and the lip and the and all those other things happening.
Yeah.
So, mhm,
There's a lot of balancing going on, and you're so right. There are so many persons who would love to experience that opportunity of giving birth, but having had that experience, and mine was rather intense and very long. So hence I only went once. But having said that, there are persons who would give anything for that. And yet there are persons who, not having that experience, mother and make that impact in the lives of so many others. And so motherhood is a role that is also about nurturing, and it's
mhm,
about resilience. um, I have friends who, wanting to give birth to their own child was something that was really, really they were passionate about. And they would have miscarriages or things would not work out, and they kept trying. They pushed. They were resilient. They
mhm,
just kept
mhm,
on going. So motherhood is also about resilience, and gratitude works in this because we get to shape, we get to influence, we get to create that impact as mothers. And you said something that really, really resonated with me. Often when you have mothers, I remember when I had my son, I thought, how would I do this without my mother? My mother was there for
yeah,
me at every step of the way. That first coming home and holding the baby and all of those things, because you are right. There's no switch that goes on that automatically tells you, guess what? This is what you do. This is how you do it. And this is when you do it.
here's a
You,
list.
yes, you learn motherhood
There's
and
no
parenting
list.
on the go. So being able to pause, as Shelley says, and just practice gratitude, that you're able to get through the day, that you're able to do all of these things, that you're able to create that balance, you're able to create that harmony, you're able to give of yourself to who needs it when they need it, is no small feat. It really, really isn't. And I think this is why all over there is a big, I don't want to call it a to do, but there's a big, help me, Shelley, about
Well, I think
mothers,
to do would work quite nicely. We say
and
hurrah, there's a
the
big
important,
thing, there's
yes, and the importance of that rule. It really, really
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Gratitude. We talk about gratitude, and Shelley said at the beginning, it's not as simple as it sounds. It's not just about saying thank you. It's so much more. It's about being open with it, saying it always. I mean, that's the one that I of the steps, that's the one that really, really connects with me. Saying
Mhm.
it always, you write it down, you commit to it, but you say it always because it needs to become a part of who you are. It
Oh,
needs to
yes,
become
yes.
second nature to you. It needs to become just like when you're breathing in and you're exhaling. Gratitude needs to be that, and that's why we have to do it always. And so
Yeah.
I've been encouraging everyone, every day when you get up, four things that you're thankful for. Just say it out loud. Just make that the habit. And by doing it always, and every night before you go to bed, what are you thankful for the day that you have had? Were you able to smile at someone and help their day be a little bit better? Did someone bring you lunch when you didn't even know where lunch was coming from today? And someone popped in and
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I was thinking of you and I brought you these things." Like yesterday, I got some guavas and plums and I was ecstatic and I was really so grateful that I was thought of and remembered because I love guavas. So they're the little things that happen. And sometimes we think it has to be something big, but it really doesn't. The little things.
Mm-mm.
So, what are the four things that you can be grateful that you're grateful for? And practice doing that in the morning, practice doing that at night. And before you know it, it becomes a habit. Before you close your eyes, what am I grateful for today?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
say
It
it
needs
out
to be a
loud.
reflex action. It really needs to be, when something happens, your go-to is gratitude. And for many people, it's not because we were taught to be critical and taught to, look at the nuances of things and see what needs to change and what needs to be fixed. And I know that has been my experience. I've always, when look at something, I assess it, situations, everything, and I think, okay, what do I need to fix in this? What do I need to add? How can I make this better? That's usually my first thought. So it was really a process for me to shift from that kind of thinking to when a situation happens, whether positive or negative, to really just pause and be grateful for whatever opportunities are being presented. And that for me is the the end and the beginning and the continuation because it's an ongoing thing. I actually think one of the three steps in the gratitude strategy would really be say it right, say it loud, and say it always. And I I believe in starting with say it right because of the fact that if we're saying something always and that is becoming part of who we are, we have to really be mindful and careful about what we're training ourselves to do and what we're training ourselves to be. So, getting the wording right. And you said something earlier that really connected with that when you said we get to do certain things as mothers. And that shift in thinking, and it sounds like a simple, regular statement, but there's a big difference between saying, I have to do this and I get to do this.
Hmm.
It's about that mindset and perception and the attitude behind the action. The action itself might look the same from the outside, but what is happening on the inside in terms of how you're approaching the situation? And I remember when I found out I was pregnant with my first daughter, I was terrified out of my mind. I'm thinking, do I really want to do this? I have to
Mm.
do this. And there was so much happening in my mind. And throughout the conversation, something popped into my mind. And I thought, there are many women who don't really want to be mothers for whatever reasons. They have their personal reasons. It's their choice. They don't want to be mothers. And and that's okay too. We're talking about mothers, we're talking about our personal experiences and those experiences with those we know of being a mother, but part of that whole discussion on mother and mothers and motherhood is about our experiences with our own mothers too. So it's I think everyone can join the conversation, even those who don't want to be mothers. And I feel like that is something that is absolutely worth saying, that we're grateful for all the perspectives and we're grateful for everyone, and and that whole process. But going back to the story that I started, then let me be quick about this because yeah, talking about gratitude gets me excited and sometimes I get straight. Um I I was really, really afraid, and I didn't know what to do and how to go about anything. And now, having two daughters, I tell them, they my first daughter, she was an unexpected gift, and my second daughter was a prayed for gift, because they're both gifts to me in my life. And that the experience of knowing them and being there, having the conversations and seeing them grow up on all of those things, it's a different a really different experience. But before you continue, I saw someone said hi from London. Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
We welcome you. Do share your thoughts and your experiences. Maybe it's just an opinion or a thought that you have about it. We really would love to hear from you. We love hearing from you. I've heard from a few people offline who've called to say,
Yeah.
they really, really enjoyed it and they're liking what we're doing. And we really appreciate that and are grateful for your comments. But as I was listening to you talk about the girls, I was thinking at times how overwhelming it feels and
Mm,
how you have as a new mother, and I'm thinking this may be where you were as a new mother, you have like those expectations you talk about,
yeah.
and that just uncertainty of not knowing, am I doing the best thing, the right thing? Who knows? And I like to say what I've learned now that I didn't know then is that there is no right way or no wrong way. There is a way. And that perhaps the way that you did it at one time, it didn't work out. But that doesn't mean that you were a failure. That doesn't mean that you committed some great abomination. All it means is that what you did then or what happened then did not work out as you thought it would have, or maybe as you wanted it to. And that is where how we talk to ourselves matters. And it doesn't only matter in motherhood, I work with women all the time about setting goals, creating a plan so that they can have the lives that they really want. And when you think about it, motherhood kind of preps you for that. You really have to plan your day. You don't just get up and then be winging all them lunches together and getting dressed for school, getting ready for work, going to university. You don't just, there has to be some sort of planning. And at times, when in the absence of a plan, at times what can happen is overwhelm. And then again is where you pull the gratitude in. Because when you're feeling that overwhelm, when you're feeling that anxiety, that's the time to really take the pause. That's the time to pull up and just say, let me breathe. Breathe in. I'm grateful for all that I get to do. I get to make this lunch because I had what I needed to make the lunch. I get to take my kids to school. I get to go and do something that I really love. And as Shelley talks about it, it sounds like a little shift, but when you say I get to do it, it's a totally
Yeah.
different message to your
It's
brain than
huge.
when you
It's
have to
huge.
do it. When you have to
Huge.
do it, that might sound like something that you are being asked to do, like an obligation, but you
Yeah,
don't
like
really want
somebody's
to.
over your
So
head.
that, exactly. And but when you say I get to do this, you are stepping in at a totally different level. And that's what we are talking about. Using gratitude to help you always stay in that level, to stay in that positive frame of mind, to stay in that frame of mind where you look at what can I do to make this better, to make this different? as opposed to, oh my gosh, that didn't work out again, or
Yeah,
why
yeah,
this is always happening to me. What we say to ourselves really, really matters, and how we do it also matters. And I think one of the things that Shelley and I really want everyone to take home is that when you make gratitude a part of who you are, when you say it right, I get to do this, no, I have to do this. When you say it loud, when you say it out there, when you put it out there and you put it out into the universe, and then when you make it a habit, when you say it always, you are going to see the difference. You, I absolutely promise you guys, you are going to see
yeah.
the difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah, we live this every day, and I, for one, I mean, I think since we're talking about motherhood, I'll probably sometime this month I'll share the story about how I got into this whole gratitude thing
Oh,
because
that's a lovely
it was
story.
related. It was related to motherhood and all those things. So the whole idea really is we when we use that word and that phrase, I get to do this, we are taking the power and we are embracing an opportunity. And that change allows us to feel better about what we're doing. It might not be something easy, it might be very challenging, but we get to do this. And in getting to do that, we have all these opportunities to learn and to develop and to grow and to really step into the people that we are becoming as we're continuing our journey of life. And one of the things that I know as mothers, every mother would look back if they're really honest with themselves and be able to list many, many things that they wish they had done, wish they didn't do, wish they had done differently. There's just long, long list. But the good thing is that we get an opportunity to change our thoughts on these things, even from the past and from where we are now. Once we have the new understanding, we get the opportunity to do things differently from this point on. And that's really all that's ever asked of any of us.
Mm,
Many other people might say differently, but when it comes down to it, as human beings growing and developing and becoming, that's really all it is. Do the best you can in the moment that you are living now. And that's all that is expected of you. Really and truly, all that's expected of you. And when it comes to motherhood, I think that is like the number one comforting statement. Do the best you can. And that's all that's expected of you. You can get help. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to think everything is on you, but just keep doing the best that you can.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you're so right. No one can ask more of you when you have just given of your best. And your best doesn't have to be anybody else's best. It is your best. And it's what you are doing for you. And so this morning we focused a lot on, well, we focused on motherhood, and we're going to be talking some more about motherhood. We're going to be talking about persons who have lost their moms and how gratitude plays a part in that as well, and many other things. But this morning, we hope that you start to think of motherhood, with gratitude. With all the things that you, I think that now, as we wrap up, you could possibly list so many things that you are grateful for, whether it was you as a mother mothering, or whether you were being mothered too. There were so many things. There were those women in your life, whether it was in your personal life, they may be somebody who was like a mother to you, where
Hmm.
in your work, in your
Yeah.
business, in your journey, we as women have that opportunity to mother each other or different persons at different times and different seasons. So they have so many things that we can just be grateful for. And if we say it right, say it loud, and say it always, then we're going to start to see the transformation of gratitude in our life, and not only how it impacts us as mothers, but how it impacts us in every sphere of life. Say it right, say it loud, say it always. Shelley, I leave you with the closing words this morning.
Thank you. So there's so much that can be said about motherhood and, being a mom, experiencing mom, being mothered from biological mothers and otherwise, people who are in your life who you consider as a mom. And that's why we have the entire month to talk about it. And when our guest comes on, we'll have an even more awesome conversation. So I really just want to thank everyone for, checking in. If you're looking at the recording, thank you so much. If you're here live, Lennox from London said hi. And we're so excited because we're on a mission. As Karen said at the beginning, we're on a mission. We've dedicated, in this first instance, an entire year every Thursday to talk about gratitude because of how critically important it is. And when we talk about getting it done with gratitude, we mean getting it done and feeling fulfilled and accomplished and, happy at the end of it. So thank you so much for joining us. And remember, you can get it done with gratitude. Have a good day.